5 and 1. 5 below 1 thickens up the root. So a 7th chord has 2 more notes. Anybody know the numbers on that?
7th chord?
Yeah, besides the 5 and the root.
The 3 and the 7.
3 and the flat
7.
Yeah. So there's the B flat. You do is, if you're just a surveyor and you're coming up this string, you're going to run into flat 7, and 1's going to come up and find 3 there. So here they sit. This interval caused a lot of deaths at one point in mankind's history. I shouldn't say I was such a quality in my voice, but the absurdity and the insanity of it all makes me smile, I guess, just to keep from crying. This was considered an evil sound. There are people that still think rock and roll is evil, of course, so nothing's changed. Darn fool, youngins always making bad noises. So, flat 7 and 3. If you keep going up the strings, what are you going to run into next? Flat 7 is going to hit the root. There's the 5, as far as notes in the 7th chord. So, we've all seen this. If you're in C, those are the 2 power notes, the one above, below the 5, which is a strong interval. Usually helps if you're in tune, but you can be certain about that. So if you keep coming up, this is the next interval. It looks visually just like this one did, but now they're reversed. 3 is below flat 7. It's a charming thing if you study it, you'll see it. You might say, well, how do you remember that? You got all these chords that are coming by. How do you know where all these things are? What's the use of it? It's too much to process. It would be if we didn't have things to hook it to. But when I play these, like everybody I imagine who plays, if anybody else who plays these, you're going to see this root as an angle for these, or you're going to see this root. Or if you're Lenny Bro, you're going to see a high root. Because Lenny worked off of those adding melodies to things, so he might have this. This isn't for bass lines for him, this is chords. You're seeing this thing over there. You might even see this in terms of a major third above this root, but you got to see it in terms of root. You can't spell bass notes when things are moving like this. You can't say, oh, the third of D sharp, 7. Good luck, F double sharp. That's what it is. You don't want to be saying that. I mean, if things are cruising slowly, you can't help it. If you process spelling of chords real deeply, you'll see the letter names pop out. You know this is A, you know this is E. But that's not what it is. You don't spell the chord members. It's more of a relative thing, where most people I know playing the guitar a long time will think that this is a root and a third and a fifth, if they're thinking at all. The main thing, and it's somewhat of a shock to some people, that it ends up this. The main thing is seeing the fingerboard or hearing things in your head and then seeing it on the board. Either one will work. Seeing the board alone without hearing it does work. That's how everybody gets started playing all this, let's say triplets, jazz key B flat here. Comes on strong. That kind of stuff. When you're just beginning, you're just seeing where to put your fingers. You're not completely sure what it's going to sound like, but it still works. You're still playing, you kind of feel. Most music in that kind is still about feel as well. So seeing is important. Seeing is the most important thing. You've got to see this neck. You've got to see it in your sleep. You just have to know where, if you're saying B flat, you've got to be able to fast. See all those B flats. That includes way up here, but as most of you probably know, this is simply this right, starting over again. On many guitars that were the popular guitars, say a guitar like that, the fret markers were put in at 3, 5, 7, and 9 eventually. Those are the odd numbers. And then they start again at 3, 5, 7, and 9 again on solid body like Les Paul guitars, Strats, and all those kind of things. Double dots Everybody in the room probably knows that means the same as the open strings, just starting an octave up. So this isn't really scary if you work with it every day. It's just repeating all this. Hope everybody does that in their life with guitar so that you can please others as well as yourself, because there's a lot of charming little stuff up there. Younger people respond well, so do ancient people.
Hey Ted, when you were talking us through the intervals on the C, so you, I don't know, this would probably be impossible.
No.
But you were thinking obviously of a C major scale, and because it was blues, you were thinking of like a flatted third, flatted seventh scale, and you were doing the intervals from that standpoint, thinking linearly, or from a linear
I'll try to answer that. There's something I didn't mention that plays into this, which is, and I've said this in so many settings for the last 30 years or so, because I've been doing clinics for about that long. So, I mean, anybody that's heard me talk before, I apologize, because you probably heard me say it, but American music's not in major and minor keys only. It's a lot of the music that we've all loved is in a different key than either of those, and it's smack in between them. It often has elements of a third, but at the minimum it's got a flat seventh. You can't bring the Rolling Stones home to dinner with, it's just not their thing. You need the flat seventh. Similarly, you need the sharp 9. People say minor third, for years I did too. It's not really minor third if you get down to brass tacks. Minor third sounds like, that's the difference. That isn't American blues. You can use it in blues for that mournful, that church front blues. St. James Infirmary and stuff like that. But that's minor blues. People even say minor blues. You know, what do you want to play? Let's play a minor blues. All right, you know. But regular blues, this isn't really minor. Anybody know what it is? Now this note that would be minor. Anybody?
Teniolia?
The sharp 9, folks.
Oh, yeah, right.
The sharp 9. Yeah, you all knew. This, we all know this chord. That's what everybody knows.
There's a seventh chord there, so
Yeah, yes, see, the blues is a 7th chord music primarily. It's not like it never uses major 7s. I'm not done with that bass talk, I promise. I'll come back to it. I just got off the track, which is the way my brain was born, unfortunately.
So the distinction, though, between the sharp 9 and the flatted third is an octave.
No,
Of
sorry,
that
I didn't make it clear. It's not that, and it's not my fault nor yours, because we didn't get that far yet. But this note becomes something else when it's in the presence of something else. My analogy is common from my days of roaming the streets as a young guy. I just found it so fascinating to observe all the different people and how they behave. And one thing I noticed is that different people would, some people out there this way, behave completely differently in the presence of whichever crowd they were with. And that's common too. I mean, kids behaving suddenly great for the parents so they can go out that night, you know, whatever. People change their behavior. Well, when this thing is just in a primal sense, in its original sound in minor, it's just minor. When it's in the presence of some hipper notes and it's still minor, you can hear that it's still minor. But what's happened now is that it has a luster about it, but it still isn't blues until it meets up with a major third and or a flat 7 as well added in the mix. You should say, boy, you've got to have the third. The flat 7's optional, but it sure helps. So when you hear them next to each other, they're not on top much. You don't hear that. You've got to bury it under a statal note. When you hear everybody in this room knows that's not minor. It just isn't minor. It's this. Without the major third in there, I've got the minor third, the B, the G. If all we do is bring the minor third in, never the major third, change the rhythm. Is this really American music? I think not. I think it's some island. It's a primitive culture that hasn't seen Maytag washers yet, let alone internet. This would be such a wild thing to come into an island with a generator and one of these babies sporting a few humbuckers. Mini humps. Mini hump. Mini hump. It'd be amazing to watch. But this scale would probably be in some of those island cultures because it's been documented. But they're not sitting there going, which is another way to get to hear sharp minor music. When you bend the third ever so slightly, pardon me, the minor third, you bend it, you're getting close to the effect that happens by having the third and the flat third together, which turns it into the raised nine. Now we're talking American bluesy influence stuff. It's by bending that now. Really makes a difference. So your question before had to do with the partials and so on. And first of all, seventh chords, having that flat seven, and allowing the raised nine is one of the guys, and the flat five is the other blue tone. This whole. There's the minor pentatonic without the flat five, and here it is with it. Most people feel this is kind of almost a prerequisite for the blues scale these days. When they write it down in colleges and stuff, most people show the flat five as part of the deal. So those three tones, again, reviewing, flat seven is there automatically. Without it, we have major sevens, and it's just a whole nother music. It's beautiful. Now blues. Blues singer could sing over this. And it works. I mean, you know, Betty James will sing that note over this. She's blues anyway. I saw BB solo once over Chet Atkins playing. BB was still. You know, it was great. It was great. Just held it down, did that wing, that vibrato, you know. And BB's blues is a little more major than any of it. He loves all that tenor sax stuff. So the minimum note for blues is flat seven. Like I said with that Rolling Stones thing, if we had a major seven in the key of E, that's just not going to do it. But as soon as you know, that's a lot of American music. So to finish this and leave it and come back to the actual question, we have major key stuff, we have blue tone stuff, and we have minor stuff. That dominates most of the music we've all ever heard. That's tunes and pieces of music, you know, classical music, Celtic music, you name it. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, but almost all of it is in keys, and keys are usually major, blue tone, or minor if they're in the Western world. You can make things up that are different. That's probably on the horizon for mankind, but so far this is what's been going on. So we were on that C7. We were just outlining the bottom tones that fell into four little pairs. That's how it turns out. Two of them look identical, and two of them look kind of like standard guitar stuff. So playing the bass line, just working off of these, does give you some guts. If you're backing somebody, I must do the same now, because we're playing the 12-bar blues pair. After a while, it gets extremely boring for you as a player. You're going to want something else than just chord tones. It's just too jumpy and angular, not melodious. So one of the first things you'd bring in would be noise. Noise. Yeah, noise. I was already kind of doing it. All that ting, that's open strings. Anybody know what the term is in the music business for those kind of notes? Open strings that don't have a pitch.
Chicks.
That's true if you're playing rhythm. Chinks or chicks, or chunks, or skanky. Skanks. No, go ghost notes. It's a term when I was a kid I'd hear it, bass players. Somebody, somewhere I picked up the term.